You found it out with me 20 years ago when we were fighting case, death penalty case around Gary Graham. So many of you here remember that. We're still on it. We still got work to do. Even though we feel that somewhere in a sense our consciousness is changing around that, we still got work to do. Work to do about that. In this state, Louisiana, and every place else that we have, the death penalty is there. It's still there. In February 2008, the former Secretary of Labor, Robert Wright, wrote an op-ed in the New York Times. In that op-ed, he talked about the crisis. And now we were at some sort of stage in the crisis which had begun maybe a year or so before. But he talked about some of the reasons for the crisis itself. And I'd like to talk about these because we also have to understand not only the current situation we are in 2012. I did a movie called 2012 too. But we have to understand what is happening and draw some sort of context of what is happening to not only these janitors here, but workers around the country here. He pointed out four things that had happened over the last 35 years. Really, those 35 years ending would have been about 1975. 1975 is considered the golden, from 1945 to 1975, it's considered the golden years of U.S. capitalism, the system itself. He said that four things had happened. One started in 1975. Real wages for the average American worker had been stagnant since 1975. The first thing. The second thing is that women have entered the workforce and doubled from 35% to 70% in that particular point in time over that last 35 years. Not simply because there were real opportunities for women for the most part, but the fact that women needed to supplement the family income because of the stagnation in income. The third thing he pointed out is that the average European worker worked 250 hours less a year than the average worker, American workers. So we had both parents working, we had working more time, overtime, and at the same time, just to keep up. And they weren't really keeping up. Now that may be a change now to the European workers because of the severe austerity programs that were in most European capitals now in most European countries. But the fourth thing is that people had to mortgage their house or to get money out of their house or credit cards. Use their credit card to sustain themselves. Those are the four things in the outline. What did he propose? Several things did he propose. That one, that tax incentive that people who were at the lower end should be paying less taxes. The next thing he proposed is that the organization or the revitalization of unions were important to fight for better wages. Those are the things, as we look at the picture now, in the midst of a crisis, that we have to consider what is happening. And what we have to consider what is happening at this point in time in history in 2012 is something much larger than that. Because we not only see it reflected in our own communities, we see it happening in the rest of the world as well. Where people are becoming poor and poor and poor. That people, of course, work for less and less and less. Now, it's interesting, too, because we talk about everything else, because we can't take the idea of work itself and separate it from all the other aspects that happen in our community. We We talk about